What's up, world? This is your girl P. So, what is the purpose of Mercury retrograde? Mercury, the planet Mercury, is the planet of communication, the planet of the mind. Gemini and Virgo energy comes from the planet of Mercury. And Mercury, the planet Mercury, is the fastest planet moving around the sun. So basically, when it's at home in Gemini and it's at home in Virgo, right? So that's because those two energies come from that planet. So when it's there, it's at home, it's chilling, and we're about to bark up on Gemini season, even though we're not there yet. So it's in retrograde. In retrograde, it's just an aspect of it's like moving backwards, but it's really not. It's slowing down. And since Mercury, the planet Mercury rules the mind, and we are fast-paced human beings, we live in a microwave society where everybody wants things quick. You know what I'm saying? This is why people cheat. People don't do things the right way because we live in a microwave society. People want things fast. We don't have patience, and not saying all people don't have patience, but a lot of times people don't have patience. You have to be taught patience if it's not natural for you. And having a patient energy, you know, everything is energy, but if you don't have it, just like being an empath, if you don't have that energy, you have to be taught it, and you have to be taught patience. But because the planet Mercury rules the mind, and we are fast-paced people, human beings naturally. When Mercury goes into retrograde, it's like I said, it's like it's moving backwards, but it's not. It's just slowing down. So that means anything that has to deal with communication and the mind is going to slow down. And what that means is when it's slowing down, it's forcing us, because planets affect human behavior, and because we're talking about the planet of Mercury, which is rules communication, which anything that has to do with communication, which is travel, emails, text messages, phones, the mind, anything that has to do with communication, how we communicate. You can communicate with traveling, but it's short distance communication, which is not like international, which would be Sagittarius energy, because it's a polar opposite of Gemini energy. Is why it's beneficial for people to learn astrology, because it'll teach you about energy, it'll teach you about life, it'll teach you about yourself. But back to what I was saying, because the planet Mercury rules the mind, it forces us human beings to reflect. Because when the mind is slowed down, it forces you to reflect. And that's when a lot of times during Mercury retrograde, it says don't make decisions during Mercury retrograde, but sometimes you can make a decision because you're reflecting. It's like, let me look back over things. Let me go back. And a lot of times people look back during Mercury retrograde. They don't know that they're doing it because planets control human behavior. If you're into astrology and you know when Mercury retrograde, and you know what's happening, you know what's up. But a lot of people don't know what's up because they don't believe in astrology, because they were told that astrology is bad. But it helps you in everyday life. It helps you, you know. And so yeah, when Mercury goes into retrograde, we're reflecting now. So for example, you might find a job that you apply for, reaching back out to you, because now they're reflecting. Like, I remember this application came up and they overlooked you, and then now they're looking back on it, and it's like, let me go back to this person. And then you don't know they reach out to you, and you like, here, these people calling me or whatever. You think in one way because you don't know it's Mercury retrograde, because you don't know anything about it. And I'm just using it as a hypothetical, because everybody doesn't not know about, astrology, and there are people that do understand it, you know what I'm saying? But for those that don't, you may get a company reaching back out to you, and I'm just using this as an example, okay? I'm not saying that somebody is or isn't, but what happens is that they may reach out back out to you after a long time of not even saying anything to you, and here they come, because it's forcing that energy, whatever energy that company has, because anything that has a birth date, that's the main energy. It doesn't matter if it's a human being, if it's a dog, a cat, a business. It's a date of birth, when it was born, you know what I'm saying? Because every entity is an entity, you know what I'm saying? So it has a birth date. So in certain energies are affected by different Mercury retrogrades. Like, it's going to force this group of energy to reflect a little bit, even though everyone collectively is affected by Mercury retrograde, because we all have Mercury in our birth chart. It's just, what type of energy do we have in our Mercury? Do you have Aries? Do you have Cancer? Do you have Virgo? Do you have Libra? What energy is in your mind? But certain energies are affected by the Mercury retrograde more so than others during a specific Mercury retrograde period. But at the same time, everyone is affected by it, meaning we're all reflecting, because we don't slow down enough to reflect. We always fast paced moving and doing stuff or whatever, and we have to be forced to slow down and to look things over. And that's why I said, sometimes you'll get a job reaching back out to you, and something that got overlooked, and now they're reaching back out to you, and then you wondering why they're reaching back out to you, and you might get offended by it, but that person overlooked you. You know what I'm saying? Like, what is overlooking? Sleeping. You know what I'm saying? They slept on you, and now they woke, and now here they come, you know, and you have the choice to say yes or no. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to take the job, because you might have moved on by now, but that's what happens. And a lot of times we get mad, because we don't be understanding these things. And that's why I think astrology is a beautiful subject to learn, because it's like, you're not trying to predict things, even though people read energy, but reading energy is no different than reading the weather. You using a barometer to read the weather and predicting what's to come. And basically, you're predicting on what's to come based on what was the past. Say, like, whatever, you get a weekly forecast for this week on the weather. How do you think that the people on from the Weather Channel or whatever can give you that prediction? They use a barometer, and then they look back. Just say hypothetically, they look back 10, 20, 10, 15 years for this week, this same week 10, 15 years ago, and they base it on what the weather was back then to what's now, and using the barometer, and then they give you then they give you what they believe the weather is going to be, and it's going to fall in between, based on past, present, and future. You know what I'm saying? They look at what the energy is bringing, and the weather that we have is energy. They could tell what's coming. It's common sense. You know what I'm saying? But people don't see it like that, because everybody think that. I don't know what people think. You know what I'm saying? I can't say that, but I just say that, the purpose of Mercury retrograde is to force you to reflect. It slows your mind down, because Mercury is chilling. Mercury, like I said, is the fastest moving planet around the sun. You know what I'm saying? And when it get by the sun, when it is home, oh wait, it's slowing down. So it's slowing down, so you can your mind is slowing down because Mercury rules the mind. And then sometimes communication gets messed up because when it's like computers and stuff, the computers are slowing down. And so you'll find, like, if you are at work, or even your cell phone might start messing up and slowing down. Your car might be messing up because car is transportation, which is communication. You know what I'm saying? That might mess up, you know and you might make a decision to fix it. But the thing of it is you may not want to fix it because it's Mercury retrograde. It may not really be a problem. That's why they say don't make a decision, during Mercury retrograde. But I wouldn't make a decision on something like that. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes when it comes to other things like a job, yeah, make a decision on that, because if you really wanted it, then you can go get it. They're coming back, and you may be in your ego and you be like, oh, this job coming back. Well, where was you at when I where was you at when I applied? And you miss out on a blessing because it wasn't time. And sometimes it be like that, because that's how life is, because planets affect human behavior. And that's why I encourage people to learn about astrology. You'll never know it all because it is so much, and it's a subject that basically will have you keep growing as a person, because you'll never learn it all. Every time you think you learn something, here comes something else. So it's like a subject that is pertaining to you, pertaining to everyone around you, pertaining to life. And it's a lot of subject that you could say, well, why would I learn about that? That don't have nothing to do with the goal that I'm trying to accomplish. Well, astrology teaches you about energy, and you're full. It's all souls are full of energy. If you look in your birth chart, you'll see all these different energies that God created you with, and you won't learn about yourself if you don't know what type of energy you carry, where it's at. And wherever the energy is how the planets is controlling you in that aspect. And so once you understand where the energies are, and what you have, then you'll understand why you move the way you do. But that's what when me putting this video out during Mercury retrograde, and if a person was to hear it, then that will spark that person, whoever hears the video, to reflect and be like, you know what? Thank you for telling me that, because now I think I want to learn about this, because I want to learn about me. And now my mind has slowed down, and now I'm able to, what I'm saying, receive information and hear it right, because I'm not moving fast. Because a lot of times somebody could tell you something and you on the go and you hear it wrong. But now that you chilling and somebody tell you something, you gonna hear it different. You know what I'm saying? And again, a lot of things you shouldn't make decisions on during Mercury retrograde. And the reason being is because communication is slowed down, and there's certain things that's controlled by the planet. A lot of things that has to do with communication that's controlled by the planet Mercury, and it slows it down and messes it excuse me. See how my communication just got messed up, me saying? It's because Mercury is slowed in communication to get jumbled up, meaning like somebody could send you a message and you never get it. You think they ignored you, but you never got it. Or you talking and you saying words wrong. You know what I'm saying? Or, you know, uh your phone messing up. You know what I'm saying? That's communication, emails. It's a lot of stuff that gets lost in transit. Like you expected something to come in the mail and you waiting and waiting and waiting, and then it fell on the floor and now it's under the table, and you these things happen during Mercury retrograde. But yeah, you see how exciting that is, just to even just know why stuff be messing up, and you know the deep root cause of it. And if you didn't know that, you be calling the 800 number talking about, where's my stuff? They like we melded. You mad at somebody else and not realizing it's Mercury retrograde. When you know that it's Mercury retrograde, you start Googling once you get into astrology, you won't be as upset. Because that happened to me. I'm gonna give you an example of what happened to me. I was on unemployment and I kept waiting for my unemployment check and all of that. And I was like, oh my God, why is my stuff not coming? Now, like I said, certain energies during different Mercury retrogrades are affected by it more so than others, even though we're all affected by it. But you just have to look it up and see who's affected by it the most during a certain period of time. But during this particular Mercury retrograde, it was a really affected Gemini energy. And I was literally affected by it. I was waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, and something told me to Google to see if it was a Mercury retrograde, and it was. And this particular Mercury retrograde was affecting my energy, and this my mail was getting lost. My mail got lost. I don't know how many times I was waiting for this check, but when I seen that it was a Mercury retrograde, you know how it's like, why get mad over something you can't change? If I didn't know that, I would have been all mad and heated, keep calling, going off, even though I kept calling. But I wasn't getting mad at the people that was answering the phone or anything like that, because at the end of the day, I knew I was, and I didn't. It's like a part of me was like, nah, because you don't want to believe this is really real, but it is, you know. And so part of me wanted to be like, this ain't real for real, even though I know astrology is. But that's that ego. I didn't want to accept it. A part of me didn't want to accept it. But my higher self is like, God is showing you this is what it is, Paulette. You can't do anything about it. You know what I'm saying? But accept it. And once that energy goes back to normal, boom, here come here come my I had to do other things to get it, but that was the reason why it was messing up. You know what I'm saying? And when you realize that, it's like, okay, it's a retrograde right now. It's affecting communication, and it's saying it's affecting these particular energies during this time. So let me not get upset. Let me control myself, because there's nothing I can do about it, because the planet is affecting my behavior because of what's happening. The planet is literally affecting my energy, which is affecting my behavior. And I have control over my energy because I know that it's affecting my behavior. And if it's affecting Gemini energy, which is communication, why would I go off on somebody? That's me controlling my energy and not going off verbally because of the retrograde. Because now because mentally I know that it's affecting me. I'm being affected by it. And then you learn and you grow because you understand. And so that is what is the purpose of Mercury retrograde. And we're currently approaching Mercury retrograde April the 1st, and energy is an illusion. Excuse me, time is an illusion, but energy is fluid. And so, because the Mercury retrograde is supposed to start April the 1st, because energy is fluid, that means that energy approaches you before it's like it's on its way to you before it starts. That's just like, if you watch the Weather Channel and they're telling you that rain is coming, you start seeing the clouds getting dark and stuff, but it's not raining yet. That's because the energy is approaching before the actual energy approaches, and that's called a shadow period. So basically, we're experiencing Mercury retrograde energy, even though it's not supposed to be in effect until April the 1st. You feel what I'm saying? And when you start learning these type of things, you start understanding why we go through certain things in life. You won't be as much as upset as you would have been before knowing. Knowledge is power if it's applied. But that's all I got for you. And I holla though. One love. Peace.